Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, Crushing Difficulty walkthrough, and this is chapter 3, also known as Homecoming. And in this chapter we're gonna be introduced to all the new mechanics of the Uncharted series, or they were first introduced in Uncharted 4, and The Lost Legacy carries on the legacy, so to speak, from Uncharted 4. We are gonna do some rope swinging, we are gonna do some climbing, that we all know from playing the series, and also we are once again gonna drive a jeep around this area. And the jeep driving in this game is, I'm not a big fan of it, because it is quite arcadey, but it still feels kinda sluggish. Even though your jeep doesn't go very fast, it feels a bit slippery, a bit heavy when you drive it. It's quite a weird sensation. If you try it yourself, you'll understand what I mean. And in this chapter we're also gonna be introduced to our first real combat sequence. And the combat in this game is very close, or is very similar to Uncharted 4. Because Uncharted 1, 2 and 3 was very cover based when it came to combat in general. You could usually just camp out behind one piece of cover, but in these games it's much more dynamic, and it's built up around your versatility and your ability to react and adapt to situations. You can stealth through sequences, or you can use stealth, you can go in all guns blazing, or you can use a combination of both of them. But the problem I've found with playing this game on Crushing is that the enemy AI is so aware of their surroundings, they are so attentive, so trying to go for a stealth approach in a lot of these battles is a lot more work than it's worth. I don't know if that sentence came out really correct. But it's a lot of hard work, and it's not very rewarding, was what I was gonna say. And there are two fights in this chapter. And here is a mechanic you will see from time to time in this game. We're gonna take down this big gate, and we're gonna use our what's called this cable, the wire that you can use to drag stuff with or pull the jeep up. We're gonna use that to pull down the gates. And this is our first little encounter, just to give you a taste of combat. And Nadine can at times be very helpful. Sometimes she can be absolutely terrible, and that you just saw. Sorry about that. That what you just saw, the grenades. That is a big part of this game. Enemies love throwing grenades at you. They will do it constantly. And that is where your versatility comes in. Because in Uncharted 3 they introduced a mechanic where you could throw back grenades at enemies. Great mechanic, I loved it. For some reason they took it away in Uncharted 4. I can understand why they did it, because the enemies love to throw grenades at you at all times. And most of the cover in Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy is breakable. Like those little walls of rocks in the first game, that they aren't completely safe, and if you could throw back grenades, you could just do that constantly in this game, just to win every instance of combat. You would be completely overpowered, the enemy wouldn't have a chance, because they throw them all the time, and they do that to force you to move. They want to force you out of cover, they want you to expose yourself and put yourself in harm's way. So you're gonna have to be always ready to move away from a piece of cover. And here comes the game's first big fight. And this, in my opinion, is one of the hardest fights in the entire game. because this is a huge area. There are quite a lot of enemies and they can bring in reinforcements. I tried to stealth this. I tried to go in all guns blazing. None of them worked perfectly, actually, so I ended up doing a technique that combines both of them. So the first thing I do is choke out those two guys, because I know that the enemies will find their body soon and they will put their focus over on the left side of the battlefield. And that is gonna give me a chance. You see, they're walking over to the left, and that is gonna give me a chance to push up and move in closer. Because in a truck at the back of this battlefield there is a silenced pistol. And the silenced pistol is a weapon that's new to this game. It has the same damage output as the Para 9 or whatever it's called, the standard pistol. Not very powerful, but when you make a headshot with it, of course, a headshot is always a kill unless the enemy is carrying a helmet. But it gives you the opportunity to make stealth kills at a distance, compared to, say, the bow in The Last of Us. And that is a great weapon. Whenever you get a silenced pistol, use your bullets wisely, because that is your key to success. And I'm progressing very slowly through this fight. This is by far not the most effective technique I'm using, but it is quite a safe technique. And you're gonna have to utilize that in a lot of combat in this game. You're gonna have to take your chances. When opportunity shows itself. I can't remember the correct thing in English, but hopefully you get what I mean. You're gonna have to wait for the opportune moments, was what I was gonna say. And as always, I've trimmed out the lockpicking. I hate when you have to lockpick in the middle of combat in this game, because I think that lock has a free pin lock. And you see the enemies are constantly patrolling, they're trying to find me. And that is nerve-wracking, because if you're spotted, they can mow you down in seconds. And something to know about this fight. When you've taken out almost all the enemies, if they see you when you have just 2 or 3 guys left, they will call in reinforcements. So you're gonna have, I think it's 5 extra enemies showing up to the party, and there are no checkpoints in this fight. So if you die on the last guy of the reinforcements, you're gonna have to restart where I entered this area on the Jeep. It can be very frustrating. I know I was stuck here for quite a while, trying different strategies, trying to find the easiest and best way to do it. But there is a dynamic to the combat in this game that I like. Because what I did now when I got spotted is I fall back to this position. Because not all enemies will rush you. Most of them will. As I said, I tried one technique, just going in guns blazing. But a lot of people rushed me, and they will try to rush you from both sides of this rock. They will always try to flank you, and I got overpowered. So what I like to do is I fall back, I thin the herd a little bit, and then I fall back so they lose track of me. And that is something I really like in the Uncharted series as well, because when you throw a grenade, if you're in cover and the enemies don't see if they are in a passive state, you throw in a grenade, they don't know where it came from. They just know a grenade landed by their feet, their friends are dead, it came from somewhere, they will start looking for you, but they don't know where you are. And also, if they see you hide behind cover, and you manage to sneak away without them seeing you leave the cover, they will not notice that you left it. They will continue firing at it. So that is something that's really good. I really like it because it gives you a chance to lure them away, put yourself in a better position, and then go back in for a kill as soon as they calm down and lose track of you. But now they don't know where I am. So they are patrolling, they're trying to find me, and I'm now hidden again. And when they're looking for you, if you're sitting in bushes or something, or high grass, if you move around in it and they're close, they will spot you. So if they're searching for you on this difficulty and you're sitting in grass, sit still. That is your only chance of getting away. Because they are, as I said earlier, they are extremely attentive to their surroundings. And now I'm gonna wait around for a little while again, because I want them to lose track of me, because if you manage to stealth down the last 3 or 4 guys, the reinforcements will never arrive and you will not have to worry about them. And you see how often... See? One grenade went off 3 seconds ago, he's already throwing a new one. If I had the possibility of throwing them back, I would blow him and all his friends back to Kingdom Come. This place would just be a smoking hole in the ground. But they lost track of me again. He saw his dead friend, so I whip out my silenced pistol. And that's the only bullet I'm gonna fire from this gun right now, because I'm gonna save it to a later fight, and I recommend you do as well. Because there is a fight coming up in the next chapter where this gun is gonna serve you very well. So now I'm trying to get a lay of the land. I'm sneaking around, I wanna see how many enemies there are left. And I think there are only 2 guys now. There's one over there in that little tower, temple thing. And there is one guy over the gate. And that's where we wanna go. And also one thing about the combat in this game, which is a difference between Uncharted 4 and this game and the other 3 games, is that when you're playing on crushing, your ammo is very scarce. You do not get as much ammo as you got in the first 3 games. So you're gonna have to always manage your ammo. You can't just spray and pray as you could do in the first 3 games. So always when you're using assault rifles, do quick control bursts. If you have a chance, try to go for headshots. Because enemies in these games can be a bit spongy. And since you don't have lots of ammo, that can present quite a big problem. I think it even happened to me on the last chapter. I'm not quite sure if it made it into the walkthrough, but I ended up... I think it was in the last chapter. In one instance where I didn't have any bullets at all. So I had to resort to melee combat. And that wasn't a fun position to be in. But I made it work. I'm not quite sure if it made it into the walkthrough. We're just gonna have to wait and see. And now, as I said, this is the last guy. So I'm just waiting for him to go over to that side. You can break his neck and you get a little audio cue from Chloe. You hear the music reaching its crescendo and stopping.
Think that's it.
Yep. Chloe says, yep, that's it. And now we have beaten chapter 3. And this is, in my opinion, one of the absolute hardest fights.
I'll get the gate open.
I was stuck here for quite a while actually.
Thank you.
And I didn't get stuck on any other combat in this game. Except for one instance, but that was just due to poor game design. Because this fight, this is tricky, it's very hard. Or it can be very hard. If you're good at aiming, try going in guns blazing. Try to just stand behind that rock in the beginning where my jeep is standing and pick them off one by one. My aiming isn't that good, so I had to resort to this technique. Maybe it will work for you. Because this technique that I used to stealth take down the first 2 guys so they turn their focus over to that side so you can push up is actually really good. Because it lets you get into a good position. You can get a look on how many enemies there are, where they are, and just wait for those opportune moments. And always, or as always, in Uncharted games, after all is said and done and all the enemies are dead, loot through the battlefield. Especially in this game, because you're gonna need ammo. And It's always good not to get too hung up on one weapon,
Okay.
because
You're up.
you're gonna have to switch around between them quite a lot. Always pick the weapon with the most ammo.
Careful.
But
Always.
we have reached the end of chapter 3, and
Right.
I want to
Back to
thank
shotgun.
you very
I'm
much for
perfectly capable of
watching,
driving, you know.
and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.